Buenos dias. We are recording. It is November 10th. Oh my god. And as you can tell by the title of this, I was like, I woke up my spirit. The planet is just doing magnificent things right now. There's so much going on astrologically that I'm just, so much has been recovered from my life. So much has been like brought back to me. So much clarity has been restored. And a lot of it actually has to do with this opportunity that we're getting with these retrogrades to really like kind of sink into the new reality that we're now experiencing. But I actually wanted to do a little bit of a spread for the 11/11 portal, which is tomorrow, which significant. Okay. So crazy, but the 11/11 portal significantly affects the union, the partnership. So this has a lot to do with soulmates, twin flame people who are finally able to manifest equal give and take. So for me, like today I woke up and I had this whole experience where it was like time for me to read, like even last night, like everything over the weekend, like there are just little bits and pieces that are rising to the surface, Like I said, you guys are very familiar at this point with Dennis and I's entire journey as, soulmates, twin flames, mirrored souls, as we, were awake enough to come into union almost 9 years ago. It has been almost a decade of time trying to get to a true Two of Cups, which when I say that, it just means like Dennis and I having to, the love, especially when you get like a transformative love like this, returning you back to essentially the original blueprint of your individual self and your individual soul. And this is just huge for my husband and I, because we are finally now at that place with one another, and where enough has been excavated off of our soul for lifetimes, enough in our lineages is no longer in conflict with the divine right union in and of itself. Enough of our old loops and patterns have been blasted out with these solar flares. We had a huge one today, which is kind of like the support from the sun right now really helps me to, really continue to release it. Another really phenomenal project. Shout out Tebe. That was it really came back around. Shout out my Pisces brethren. But I really live, laugh, love. Like it was just like so much of where like we are at right now, for those of us who were on this journey together, has a lot to do with like you had to climb out of whatever karma was going to be on your plate, and maybe that in and of itself created timelines and dynamics, for you. But man, your entry into the new world, like if you were really working with spirit closely, like you found a way to repurpose that to where it's like, yes, you might have, certain aspects of things, like yes, it's a part of our story now that we had to go down just to come up. Yeah, I do have, my whole archive is, made in a certain way because of the like systemic things that I was going through, the collapse that I was under. But when I tell you the freedom of my spirit right now, where it's like I really am not being baited out, like I'm really and truly sovereign for the first time in my own life. Like for the first time, there's no non-choosing happening, meaning like there's stuff in my DNA, there's self-sabotage that's like planted and coded within me that wants to ruin the first chance at something so real and so beautiful for myself and also for my lineage. And so that deservedness, I believe, really drove most of us who are really in alignment with what timeline I'm reading for at this time to get to this point. And many of us have gone back to ourselves in such an incredible way. And the universe is like really responding to us, like is really like, again, this reset I try to prepare people for, because lie, like the best thing you can do is just not be a liar at this time. Like just don't lie. Like there's nothing like inauthenticity. You see that the dogs have been like, that's what I'm saying. Like there's right. But for the guys who realize like, okay, if there's nothing else you can do in terms of morality, character, whatever, just really be honest. And even if the honesty gets you where it got me, like you saw so many times in this archive, it's still better for this Aquarian age than you could ever even imagine. So this one's for us. This one is for the Two of Cups. And I'm just so excited because today I have like the most dreamy portal ready for me and my husband to walk through. And I'm just really excited because there's just like truly this excavation of the subconscious. There's this excavation of the cellular memory right now. There's just this deep cleansing that is happening with the Sagittarian, Mercury retrograde, Uranus and Taurus helping us really destroy. And it's like as intense as it is, like it's the same as knowing if like the toxicity or the trauma was equivalent to like a cancer cell, you'd want that bitch out your body immediately, right? You'd want it out your body immediately. It doesn't matter how aggressive the chemo, right? And that's kind of the frequency right now. It's just like, get her done, Spirit, whatever you got to do. Oh my God. And this is what Spirit really helped me with specifically over the weekend, is like the third party frequency. I really will be transparent. Like, I've really been working with my parents and their parents and their parents and their parents, trauma and karma. And, one of the biggest things that's been in conflict is like, I have come to realize that Alexis and my soul and the amalgamation of all the things that I am in this reality really is like, Dennis means the world to me, my husband, and more than just the world, he is the assignment that my spirit and my soul knows I'm supposed to be doing for this lifetime. And I'm intelligent enough and have enough emotional aptitude, honestly, to be able to discern that, like, it's really important for people to understand that, like, you're coming into every lifetime that you live with all this extra data, and it's so important to get hyper specific about what God needs of you right now, like in this life. And I've watched so many people get like essentially not be able to build or achieve in their lives, right? Because they don't realize at a metaphysical level, leakage. And when I say leakaging, I'm not always talking about like succubuses. I'm talking about like sometimes also the like attention deficit disorder that goes on spiritually, where it's like we can't focus on what we need to focus on because our attention is split. And so like, again, people will come to realize like, I really know I'm not really, when you're an Aquarius and you're someone like me who's like so big picture, I'm always like whale with the shit. I'm always like taking in so much. And so like a lot of times people don't really understand how I navigate myself, like Pisces self-knit, which is like, I have to clean it up because it's just so, if it's you, then it's me, and it's always like bleeding in. And it's like really important for me to adapt like Virgo principles, right? My North Node, right? We started this channel like about the Virgo saying North Node because it was about helping me clean it up. Because like for me, it came from self-awareness. I'm not really good with like focusing on one thing, but yet God is asking me to be this example of a deeply committed, deeply passionate, deeply like new wave of a marriage, which is just like deeply like working at this mirror to make sure that this mirror always reflects my life and helps me move forward and transform the way that God needs me to. And so those are different things that like honestly and transparently, like I can tell you, it's like, it's not that I'm not human, or that I'm above this or that or the flesh or that. It's like none of that has been transcended in any sense of the word, but it did start by giving myself a chance. It's kind of like the student who knows, like, if you have some sort of acute learning disability in any way, it's like making sure that you take your medication, or that you like actually like go and do whatever you got to do. These are like fictitious like examples of like how you would do that, but those are the things that are super important for us to like be employing right now. Like, right, like Saturn and Aries is like, do the things that you need to do for you. Like, I know, like I have to be really in touch with what my strengths and my weaknesses are, and then I have to put the proper boundaries in place to where it's like I can't, because I know me. I know that where I would fall short. So it's just like so much of that work on my personal end gets mirrored then by the universe and how hard they want to go to make sure I'm protected and blocked. And like, just since we like overnight drove to Atlanta, and like it's been like one of the most communicative times with Creator Prime Source I've ever had. Like, it just really has been a time where it's like we are really, 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 really supported, like to go in a certain direction. And I just feel like I really appreciate that, because when you're really weak and when you really don't have a lot, I really needed God to come through at this time to just like tell me what you need me to do, tell me who's got to go, tell me what I got, tell me what's healthiest for me. And that has really been happening, like quite literally. And some, yeah, I guess Year of the Snake, month 11, nothing surprises me in terms of like shedding. So by this point, I think I'm also a lot more like open-minded and not as reluctant to like God's like, it's not so much of a surprise when it's like, this motherfucker's got to go. I don't even question it. I don't even ask. I don't even implore or dig into like, oh, what is it that they're doing? I really don't care. Because when I tell you the judgment day that I faced over October, it brought me to my whole knees in terms of, I'm so grateful that I just get to be here on this planet. I'm so grateful for every moment that I've been offered from Spirit. I'm so grateful that God has always delivered me every moment of my life. Every breath that I've taken, I've been supported. I'm so grateful that God had a vision of me that I'm so like in love with right now. I have never felt this myself. My husband and I are just feeling this feeling right now where it is like we feel so much happier. We are so grateful that we did what we did the last 5 years to arrive in this like heaven on earth reality. And I'm not talking about any, it's not who we're with, it's not a new day, it's not anything third dimensional. It's all of these intangibles that are available for you in the new world. I mean, I can't express to you enough how worth it is to do this. Not that we all have a choice, but it is so worth it. And like, you won't even believe the way that the universe opens up for you, and the way that you will know. You hear these people talk about how, like, you're the co-creator, everything is orbiting in your universe around you. You hear that, but when you feel that in the new world, oh my God, it's going to change your life. So that's what's coming for many of us who did this, because it was true. It's like, I've been in the Six of Cups this whole time, but I'm really trying to get to the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups is when your psychic, intuitive, emotional capacities can level, you know? And I think that's the other thing that I would tell people about, like, when you meet a soulmate, or if you're coming into union with like some sort of twin flame or some sort of like partnership that you're supposed to build long term with, one of the things that you will know is that, like, to get to the Two of Cups can take a while, because, like, for me and Dennis, like, we represent poles, right? Capricorn stellium, aqua stellium. Like, this is like the perfect, it's like very opposite yin and yang type of frequencies in terms of like what role we play out with that energy. And yet I am so excited, because today I feel like I am just getting to go through the portal again. That revs me up to finally get to experience my Two of Cups. Dennis has been my soulmate. I've had all this almost a decade of beautiful life and history, and we have this active family, and we're in our cycles, and some cycles are offset, you know, sometimes we go here, but it's like we are living it and doing the thing. And this is the climax I feel like we have waited for our entire relationship, which was that moment when we knew, you know, the healing and the deficits are out of the way, because you get to meet for the first time. Like I said, like, someone can be your soulmate and they can be like in a cycle where they have to like grow and expand, and you guys are still like aligning, like you still mirror one another. And it feels so truly, I am so grateful for every tough decision that I had to go through, because when you look back, they're not really that tough. It's just that, like, you haven't come to consciousness about like why we can't do this, or why we can't loop on this, or, you know, whatever. You're having issues like trusting God or accepting God. So once you heal those relationships with your creator, and you really heal that wounding, because essentially that's the only reason anybody would ever like even question God's will. Like, if God tells you like that bitch is a bum, you don't even have to, you could get it in a dream. And it's like, I'm moving so sharpshooter these days. Like, I feel like I was destined to, you know, I don't really have to. And I think I was always meant to live a very like light experience. I was always very much meant to live like a very like, I told you guys, I don't run this business with a whole bunch of weight in my back. You know, I'm not like a filing cabinet's worth of shit. I'm really like super light. Like, God really carries all the whatever. And God knows I'm a yapper, and God knows I'm a channeler. So like, God a lot of times will be like, let's just record, archive the information, and then release it. And like, cause like after I record one of these messages, like, I don't carry it. Like, I don't have to. And then I just release it, and then I have this archive for me where it's like I can always go back if I ever need to remember, like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? So this is really just truly like the best moment of my life, and I wanted to record because it's like the sensation is like happening to me. I just like took the dog, and was like, it was happening. Like, the solar flares are like supporting me so much. Like, there's so many things that, like, I mean, we're talking, if you guys were at the place at this time to metaphysically be able to see or sense some of these like massive, wonderful upgrades and changes and transformations that are taking place on this earth, it would just be like, oh my God, we're living in the craziest time. This is the best phenomena. This is the best life. This is all of those things. And so God is really, it's freaky. It's unreal. Yeah. So let's get into the message for the 1111 portal. Again, best tarot reader. The 1111 portal, yeah? As I said, the 1111 portal, what fell out? The World card, right? So for many of us, this is the best moment ever, because all the pain that Dennis and I had to overcome in the last 10 years of our own personal lives, and then the lives that we've built together, because we're obviously in a union, they were meant to be initiations. The Three of Swords is this. These are spiritual truths that are meant to initiate you. They're not supposed to stop it. And that's one thing that I realize now is like, everything that formed against me and my husband was never meant to stop me. My husband, in fact, we were meant to go through them, face them, push up against them, whatever the case may have been, in order for us to actually complete it. Because to be honest with you, you know, some of the things that I'm really proud of, specifically with this year, that I really realized is like, there was a lot of like things being stolen from me. So like, for example, a lot of the things that, like, it has nothing to do with my will, but there was a lot of deception that was around me this year that people's dishonesty throws off the balance. So a lot of the things that I'm looking for is like, there's nothing to do, but I do need you to be honest, because the honesty rebalances the situation. Because it's like, so some people, like for me, all year, my perception of myself was really off because people were like, whether they were trying to do it to like throw me off specifically, or just like their lies do this. Like they don't know that like if you choose to lie, you do choose to like throw off everybody else's rhythms. Because for me, people will abuse the fact that they know that I'm so spiritually tuned, that I'm so aware that it's like, okay, well, you know, it should all even out. It's like not even like the third dimension is like illusionary. It's not real in certain things, but it is deeply connected to the truth. So the other thing that like Taurus moon, that I do as a psychic, that I think a lot of people, you know, a lot of these people who like are manipulators and they're like more like charlatans, and not like really spiritual people because they don't embody it. So your spirituality has to be embodied. So when you get what I teach over the gangway, the Tethered Studios way, is like also though the way that you can combat like high level like throat chakra magic. Do you see these guys? Throat chakra magic. You know, glamour magic, people who are masking things like that. The way to like really see that is like, they can't escape the truth. Like one of the things that I'll tell people is like, like Alexis, how did you get into homelessness? Well, when you're this sexy and accountable for yourself, and you take care of yourself, and you actually source your life, someone could put fucking she's a hobo, kick you out to the street, and try to make you go on food stamps, fucking free food, try to put you in the system or whatever, and it won't stand, because like at the end of the day, like what I really am debunks it. It's exactly how, like, you know, some people are like, how did you know that Dennis wasn't like actually like a drug addict and an unsafe person? It's like, because you know like, it's not going to be disconnected. Like I lost my best friend in the entire world, my sister, my blood, to a heroin overdose, okay? But at the same time, I have to be very honest as someone who like is here to continue her legacy, to let you know, like, you the physicality of like the pain and the suffering, she was never hidden. You know, it doesn't matter. Like most of it was people turning a blind eye because she looked a mess. Like right before the end of her life was like exactly that. And so again, like, you know, somebody who's using a substance because they're suffering versus a person who's like not using a substance because of some sort of painful experience. You get what I'm saying? And so again, these are all the things that I help get really, it's like, I don't even have to get granular. We can just be like, don't ever let an ugly bitch play you. It's as simple as that. Like nobody can walk up in my face for real and try to tell me they're this or that. I don't care what you got shaken, because I don't look at the resume before I fucking feel the frequency, before I look at the fucking thing that's in, before I look at the solid, because it is all connected, you know? Someone who's disconnected from source, you very much see that. Someone who is deeply connected to source, you are also going to see that. So again, reasons why people got caught up in this in the way that they did, reasons why Spirit has advised for people to really wrap up and no longer, and to really understand that like some of this stuff is really just 3 of Swords. And it's so healthy for me to do that, because, you know, when I really look at, you know, again, like I said, most of the year, it wasn't that people were like trying to just specifically acutely lie to me to like antagonize me, but they unfortunately at this time are probably sitting in their bed realizing that it's like, oh, none of the these are just like lies they probably like tell in their day-to-day life, like that just like they mask or how they hide or whatever. But when you meet me, unfortunately, like it's gonna really suck, because your lie will really affect me. Like they'll really hurt me in some way, and a lot of people didn't even know how that was gonna be possible until this year played out, and they're like, damn, like every time I tell, it's kind of like on some shout out Drizzle, it's kind of like on some Iceman Pinocchio shit. Like it's like the more you fucking lie, the fucking more the ecosystem around you, even if you don't understand how like being dishonest in this way does affect this ecosystem, it legitimately is throwing the earth out of balance. It's like actually doing that. And so when we talk about the 1111 portal, finally, right, for those of us who understand that like this, your spiritual truth, it should puncture the heart. It sometimes it's like, for example, like every time I get on here and I have to say something true that may not be liked, right? I say a lot of polarizing stuff. A lot of people might think I'm an extremist. They don't need to think it. They probably should. I am an extremist. There's nothing lukewarm about any of my ideals, my beliefs, nothing. I'm not a lukewarm bitch. I'm not a warm water. I'm icy hot, you know? Word to my mom and my dad. It is what it is. Shout out Sagittarius, shout out Scorpio. But for me, I think that's the biggest feeling right now is like, you know, either way, there's such a value in the 3 Swords, because it's like this truth, no matter, it's like, it isn't about it feeling good or bad. It's the truth versus the lie will either it will keep us completing something, or it will keep us circling. So again, when I say you want to be someone that's better than other people, it doesn't even matter if you've if you've in the past you've fucking taken someone's life or something. The truth, though, just telling the truth in and of itself, it doesn't have to be good or bad. Again, you get judged for whatever you do, but you do need to tell the truth, because the truth frequency is like reality. It's like what's building this. So when we lie, we don't actually input things that damage things. We just say it's cognitive dissonance. We just say things are what they aren't. And so again, that isn't helpful, because guess what's still happening? The truth. So for example, if you're on some, I'm gonna hide how I feel about someone. Let's just use this as an example, right? I'm gonna hide how I feel about someone. How you feel about someone, the reality of how you feel about someone is what's actually making our world go round, right? So the input you're still giving, whether you mask it, whether you tell the truth about it or not, is how you feel. So what I mastered this year is I mastered saying well, I'm not here to invade anybody's privacy. People have free will. You have the free will to tell the truth or to mask the truth. However, I can see the truth. I'm a seer. I come from the lineage of seers. So if I can see the truth, one of the things I use to free myself is I already have the truth. I already know I already know, and this also really helps me, because one thing I really don't like to do is reconciliation. One thing I really don't give a fuck to do, don't call me about some shit. Let's not talk about it. Babe, I already knew the truth. Let's not rehash it. Because, we're not in each other's present reality. Let's not do that. So one of the things that really helped me this year is I don't really care to go, again, because, and this is another tidbit, another PSA for this Mercury retrograde. Many people could feel bad about hurting you. They could feel bad about going back. They could feel remorseful. Again, you should really go listen to Deadbeat by Kevin Parker. He really, I can't even believe there's so many projects that I would just say that really, I was very, for me, if I was already, here, matter of fact, I'm gonna make up a fucking name for the Tea Stew award. Congratulations, you're getting a Tea Stew award from me right now. I'm gonna give it to a few motherfucking notable motherfuckers. Okay, we're talking shout out Dangerous Summer. That's getting a Tea Stew award, because these people were channeling something that's really important. Shout out KP Deadbeat. Shout out fucking Tebe for Live Laugh Love. Those are frequencies that came in, were submitted by Capricorns and Pisces frequencies. These guys, they were really, oh my God, Dennis just texted me and said, Alexis, you are such an angel and I love you from the depths of my soul. That's the type of shit you should be getting on 11/10. You get what I'm saying? But shout out to these artists who really did give you the framework for what we need to be employing at this time. Because Kevin Parker says especially is when he's talking on End of Summer, when when he's basically saying just because I does it, just because he's I'm not really remorseful. It's not that I'm sorry, I can't really do anything about it. Basically the song is talking about how he waited till the end of summer to initiate something that he obviously should have initiated. Kind of fucked up, kind of ended up looking like the dumbass, but he's kind of retrospectively giving someone's psyche peace of mind, basically being you know what, dude, doesn't mean that I still don't think about it. But a lot of you guys, at the end of the day, during this Mercury retrograde, you're going to be getting mostly thoughts and prayers. And when we talk about thoughts and prayers and how little they really do, some of these karmic situations that your code, whatever you were programmed to believe, there's some of the code that those karmic situations, whether they're people, places, or things, engagements, contracts, whatever it is that you're dealing with, closing out at this time from your old world system. Most of what if I can save you guys some heartache and some time, is yes, they feel bad. Yes, they are sorry. Yes, but again, you have to ask yourself, it's not about them. It's not about people at this time. The thing that's most important that I always preach here, and the reason God is doing me proper, is because my husband just straight up so fucking thankful for you. Thank you for building with me and healing with me. I'm so ready for this. This is what's coming into me right now. It's so sweet and amazing. But I'm just putting you guys onto some game. Sometimes when we talk about just dynamics and closing things out and what's happened to us and grappling with all of that, I always bring people at this studio back to their connection to God. Nothing else I say here matters. Nothing that I even talk about, even the channel downloads that I talk about, are really the only thing that I'm really trying to show you is that I've created a relationship with my higher power. That is the Tea Stew formula. That I'm really willing to just continue to communicate with my higher power about what to do. And literally in the simplest of ways, I don't know. I really don't know. But the only way in 2025 that I got out of every mess is that every single decision I referred to God on. And my karma is spotless. Because sometimes God had me stirring the pot. Sometimes God had me initiating in certain ways. But now we see the bigger picture. And I'm yo, God, you ate that down. You ate that down. Everything I did this year was guided by God, and God like really was able to use me so successfully and just did the craziest checkmate ever in like the best way. And like God got my tour finished without me even having to like wear myself out doing it. God closed out my family cycles and left everybody like actually asking. It's like it was just like the best. It was the best. It was like God's plan was the best. And so really what I want to support you guys to understand is that like all you really need to do to get out of this, like again, some of you even this year were like, I'm not your God. I can't do anything for you. The only reason I can keep leading people so well is because like, guess who I lean on? It's not my husband. It's not me. It's the biggest consciousness there is, the smartest intelligence. I'm not the smartest person. God is the smartest person. Any smart thought that comes to me, I channel. All of my inspiration, my desire to like hold knowledge in my body is inspired by how much like God gives me like fleeting intelligence all the time. Like it's like literally like specifically when I'm making art, that's when I feel like God is like loaning me all this beautiful just divinity, and it's on loan, and I just channel it through. But like Tethered Studios was like, sometimes it's about teaching, the average artist through our residency program, like how to lock that in and maybe put a little bit of that in your spirit, man. Put a little, like, word to my stepmom and my dad, put it in your spirit, man. You know what I mean? And it is really, this whole year has changed. It has changed my whole life, because the whole point was that no matter what I had a qualm, a question, an inquiry about, I didn't refer to anything other than my actual source. And because of that, every decision I made, I felt really clear in. Every decision I made, I felt resolute. I really don't live with regrets, and that's been a long time. That's like proper shout out the Aquastellium. I don't really live with regrets. I don't look back. I don't, every aspiration that God like allowed me to see was coming through me. I really want people to start building up the concept of being a human in the way that I am now newly understanding it to be, which is like, we're not even here to we're not here to originate the thing. We're here to emulate the same, like, it's essentially like basically the way that the age of the Aquarian, because people do know Aquarius to be a bit utilitarian, right? The girls hate communism, but Aquarius is like, give every bitch the same thing, because there are certain aspects of humanity where it's like, we're all going to be given the same thing. So in the future, God consciousness will kind of look the same because we're all emulating the same source. So like people who do live a godly walk, the people who have that in their spirit, man, if you will, those people will kind of all look the same, even if we are totally doing different things. Like you'll know the frequency now, because I'm seeing it. The code is recognized. Like now, me and my husband, when we're walking around, it's like the frequency is out that we carry, and it's going to be so recognizable because it's like it's oneness. It's one thing. It's not demigods anymore. So it's not a bunch of like, oh, God kind of looks like this in this culture and God looks like that in that culture. No, it's like the frequency now is frequential. So it's like everybody's gonna embody the frequency. It's not a religion. It's not a routine. It's not anything. It's like the fucking light in your eyes. You know what I mean? And so I'm overwhelmed, because again, my biggest message with the studio, if you've never seen me before, if you've never met me before, if you haven't clicked this video, like the whole purpose of what I do as a human is to make sure that with this one life I am given, that I actually rewrite and re-script what the original context and idea for the design of the human being was. And I get that because I'm an extremely gifted channeler, but I also ground that, and I'm here to also do the sort of like legislatio. That's what they call me in these fucking judicial streets. But I'm here to be Miss Legislatio. I'm here to write down this legislation about like what the new prototype is going to be. Like because the planets could not have helped us anymore to just like wash out all the